This is India, a land where ancient civilizations rose and fell, where empires built wonders that still stand today, and where one of the world's greatest stories of survival, culture, and faith continues to unfold. Today, India is home to over 1.4 billion people, soon to be the most populous nation on Earth, and the largest democracy the world has ever seen. It's the land of contrasts, from the world's highest rail bridge towering above mountain rivers, to millions of temples, each with stories carved into stone and legend. Among them, the Karni Mata Temple stands out, home to thousands of sacred rats, revered as divine. But India's story didn't begin with temples or kings. It began tens of thousands of years ago, with humans who first walked this land nearly 55,000 years ago, migrating from Africa and Western Asia. By around 10,000 BCE, these people began forming small farming villages. And by 3300 BCE, something extraordinary happened: the rise of one of the world's first great urban civilizations, the Indus Valley civilization. Centered around the mighty Indus River, this ancient society built cities like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and Dhalavira, with brick houses, advanced drainage, and planned streets. It was a civilization ahead of its time, home to more than 5 million people, and even a written script that, to this day, remains undeciphered. But around 1900 BCE, the Indus cities began to decline, possibly due to climate change or famine, giving way to a new era, the Vedic Age. Between 1500 and 500 BCE, the Indo-Aryan tribes settled along the Ganges plains. Their sacred hymns, known as the Vedas, became the foundation of Hinduism, which remains India's largest religion. Over time, small kingdoms began to form, 16 powerful states known as the Mahajanapadas. In these early states, a new social order and hierarchy took shape. And during this same period, two new faiths arose: Jainism, founded by Mahavira, and Buddhism, founded by Prince Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. By the 4th century BCE, the kingdom of Magadha unified much of the subcontinent under one of the first great empires, the Mauryan Empire. At its peak, under Emperor Ashoka, the Mauryan realm stretched across nearly all of India. Ashoka's conversion to Buddhism spread its teachings from Sri Lanka to Southeast Asia, leaving a legacy of peace, morality, and tolerance. After the Mauryas faded, southern India was ruled by the 3 Tamil kingdoms, the Cheras, Cholas, and Pandyas, who traded across the seas with Rome and Southeast Asia. By the 4th century CE, a new power rose in the north, the Gupta Empire, often called India's Golden Age. This was a period of incredible achievements in art, literature, mathematics, and astronomy. It was during this time that Indian scholars introduced the concept of zero, calculated the Earth's circumference, and composed the Mahabharata and Ramayana in their final forms. But like all golden ages, this too ended. By the 6th century, invasions and internal strife brought the Gupta dynasty down, and India splintered into smaller kingdoms once more. The next several centuries saw new empires rise and fall: the Chalukyas, Pallavas, Pratiharas, and Cholas, all vying for power and cultural prestige. Trade flourished across the Indian Ocean, and Indian influence reached as far as Indonesia and Cambodia. Then, around the 11th century, invaders from Central Asia, Turks, and Afghans began raiding northern India. By 1206, the Delhi Sultanate was established, bringing much of the north under Islamic rule. For centuries, the Sultanate stood strong, fending off Mongol invasions and ruling a diverse, multi-religious population. Meanwhile, in the south, a powerful Hindu kingdom, the Vijayanagara Empire, rose to defend Indian traditions and resist northern expansion. In 1526, a new power arrived, armed with gunpowder and ambition. The Mughal Empire, founded by Babur, would dominate the subcontinent for the next 300 years. Under rulers like Akbar, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb, India saw immense wealth and architectural marvels, from the Taj Mahal to the great forts of Delhi and Agra. The Mughals blended Persian and Indian culture, art, and administration into something uniquely Indian. But no empire lasts forever. By the 1700s, the Mughals were in decline. Regional powers like the Marathas and Sikhs rose to challenge them. And on the coast, a new kind of invader arrived, not with armies, but with trading ships. The British East India Company. Starting as merchants, the company slowly conquered territory, formed alliances, and by the mid-1700s, had seized control over much of India, turning it into a colony for profit. India's economy was reshaped to serve Britain's needs. Raw materials flowed out, British goods flooded in. By the time the British Raj began officially in 1858, India had gone from producing 23% of the world GDP to a struggling colony. But resistance grew. From the 1857 rebellion to Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolent movement, Indians united in their demand for freedom. Finally, in 1947, after nearly 2 centuries of British rule, India won its independence, but at a heavy cost. The partition divided the land into India and Pakistan, triggering one of the largest and bloodiest migrations in human history. In the decades since, India has transformed into a modern republic, adopting a constitution that guarantees democracy, equality, and secularism. Though challenges remain, from poverty to caste divisions and border disputes, India's spirit of resilience continues to shine. Today, India stands among the world's fastest-growing economies, a global powerhouse in technology, space, and culture. Its movies, music, and cuisine reach every corner of the planet. And from the Indus Valley to the Silicon Valley, India's story remains one of the longest and most remarkable journeys in human history. Before you go, make sure to like, share, and subscribe.